Good afternoon to you. It's 4:06 here at News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. There's a lot of it. Coming up, Chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Mark Green, is with us. We'll ask him what information he's able to get out of the Biden administration at this hour on that attempted assassination of Donald Trump over the weekend, the Secret Service failures. Emily Jashinsky will be here as well at 5:30. We'll talk to her about the left's latest effort to eject Joe Biden from the White House. To hell with democracy. Let's get rid of Joe. I thought the people chose him. No. Okay, the left is panicking about the Trump assassination, not because a presidential candidate got shot, but because he looked so cool when it happened. They are legitimately annoyed by this. They don't like it at all. They don't like that he stood up and showed pure physical toughness. And it reminded, it's interesting seeing Trump get up, pump his fist in the air, make that crowd feel better that he survived it, rallying the crowd and then getting rushed off into that waiting SUV. It is a reminder that at our core, we do prize physical toughness, don't we? People, you don't like, they say call it toxic masculinity. They're constantly attacking it. They want people to mitigate the idea that physical toughness is in any way an important trait. I don't know. The whole world witnessed that, and whether or not you like Trump, everybody kind of reeled back and they're like, wow, that was something. You know what I mean? At your core, you knew instantly. You're like, that was exceptional in a good way. That was exceptional, a very good way. And the left recognizes it too, and they're very scared of it because they view this simply through the lens of party politics. Oh no, this makes us look bad. Bill Maher released a video over the weekend where he was saying, first of all, he condemned the assassination attempt, but he also said that, quote, whoever was the shooter has done so much damage to the left, lost a lot of moral high ground in you're the violent people. Liberals don't shoot people. Liberals don't solve it that way. Now, Bill Maher's leaving out a lot of details, a lot of context in that claim. First of all, the preponderance of political violence, certainly in the United States and definitely around the world, committed by not the American left, but the global left-wing totalitarian ideologies. And in particular in the United States, we've seen a lot of political violence at the hands of the political left. 2020 was a perfect exposition of that. It was happening in cities across the country, billions of dollars in damage, so many dozens of lives lost, people like David Dorn just being slaughtered in the streets, businesses being set on fire, burned to the ground, statues being torn down. This was all left-wing political violence. You also, of course, saw the attacks on Steve Scalise, all the Republican members on that baseball field because they were Republican members of Congress and for no other reason. Attacks by James Hodgkinson, a Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer who turned a weapon on those men, opened fire on them, and grievously wounded Steve Scalise in the process. The media has, of course, since memory hold that pretty dramatically. They sometimes, occasionally, kind of mention it, but not as a means of saying, how do we prevent that kind of attack in the future? There was obviously an assassination attempt on Brett Kavanaugh that thankfully was thwarted by police outside of his home. There have been multiple attacks on Rand Paul. Rand Paul, from everything from his neighbor attacking him to the attacks he received coming out of the last Republican convention right here in Washington, D.C., because remember, it was in the midst of COVID, so they held the convention on the south lawn of the White House. And as people were leaving, Rand Paul and his wife were being attacked by a mob. President Trump had at one point to be rushed to the basement of the White House by the Secret Service, whisked away. I guess that was back when the Secret Service actually moved people into safer sectors prior to the attacks. As a mob was trying to storm the White House, they moved him to the bunker. And on and on and on. Yeah. Oh, and just to relive that particular thing, the left likes to quote that event as a sign of Trump's cowardice, right? Once again, it goes back to physical courage. They don't say it out loud, but that's what they're talking about. They suggested that Trump lacked physical courage. He was so scared of the mob. He ran to the bunker. That's how nervous he was. Really? You think, given the totality of the evidence, you really think that was Trump's posture? He was so scared of the mob, he ran off to the bunker to hide? No, the Secret Service dragged him away. They told him, you have to go here. That's how concerned we are about the threats to your life. What did he do on Saturday? He sprung up and pumped his fist in the air, having been shot through the ear, and rallied the crowd. You think physical weakness and cowardice is his normal state? Come on. I'm not saying he's some great athlete. I'm saying in that moment, he demonstrated something unusual and something that you reflexively prize. People who can withstand that. So the left hates this. And as a result, there's a number of things going on. One of them is that the photographers who were stationed there, they took, right there in the front of the rally, they took these amazing photos because they were literally just photographing what was happening. And through a miracle, really, through some miracle, the frame up of these photos, and by the way, photographers naturally have an eye towards how to frame shots. If you've been doing this for a long time, you do look for features in the background, and you'll instinctively include things in order to capture them well. So as they're snapping all these photos of Trump, as he's kind of being held in place by the Secret Service, they're also opening up the frame to include the American flag dangling in the background, right? This is the difference between like a professional photographer and somebody who just randomly points a camera. Framing out the photo is an essential feature of the job if you're going to do it well and if you're going to do it at the top of the game. People like the top AP photographer and the top New York Times photographer, they're accustomed to this. How do I frame out a shot? So as they're taking it, pulling the lens back just enough that they can capture the American flag in the background, they've got the Secret Service all around the president, it makes total sense. And good for them for having the presence of mind to do that. And then, of course, President Trump pumps his fist in the air, blood coming down the side of his face. That's outside of the control of the photographer. But all they're doing is taking the shots, taking these pictures. And the pictures are now iconic. At the convention itself, people are selling apparel at this moment with the picture on it. There's apparel stands, merch stands, where you can buy T-shirts with the picture of President Trump raising his fist in defiance of that assassin on the shirt. My wife sent me a picture today. I don't even know where she was. She was out today, and she saw some stand. It looked like it was at the mall or a store somewhere where they were literally selling a shirt that had the picture of Trump with the fist pumped in the air, blood on the face. They're all over the internet. People want to buy them. And you've got, so it's starting to get out. And in fact, on first blush, Time Magazine had this featured on the cover of their magazine. Time Magazine, on the August 5th, 2024 edition of the magazine, there's a picture of Trump, fist raised in the air, American flag in the background, Secret Service around him. And the headline says, "Attack on Trump. Former president survives shooting with nation on edge." Now, I don't know what's going on at Time, but here's what I can tell you. They have released a different cover now for their August 5th edition that no longer includes Trump on it. Instead, it's a black and white photo of the fairground, of the farm grounds in Butler, Pennsylvania, with after the chaos. There's nobody there. It's just a black and white photo of all of the mess left behind. The chairs, the garbage, everyone got out of there as quickly as they could, in an orderly fashion, if you see the video. And the only thing that's in color is the American flag dangling at the top of the cover now. But it just says, "What unites us?" And it's the same date on the Time magazine cover. It says August 5th, 2024. So a lot of people pointing out, it looks like they changed the cover to remove Trump from it. Now, is that the case? I don't know. I don't know for certain. I see some people claiming that they release alternate covers and things. I can't get under the hood of the magazine industry enough. But if they did change the cover for their official release of this magazine, it'd be par for the course for the way the left is handling all of this, because as the Washington Free Beacon points out this week, headline, "Iconic Trump photos are dangerous propaganda," journalists say. Andrew Stiles writing, "The attempted assassination of Donald Trump on July 13th has produced some of the most iconic images in the history of photojournalism. They captured the former president's defiance and instinctive showmanship moments after he was nearly killed by a sniper's bullet, face bloodied, fists raised high, an American flag waving overhead. The journalists who took those photos under extremely chaotic circumstances deserve all of the awards. Alas, the same cannot be said about the, quote, multiple photographers who spoke to Axios and, quote, worried privately that the Trump campaign would use the images as photographic propaganda or photoganda in order to, quote, further their agenda." Isn't that amazing? So these lefties are upset that the Trump campaign may use images of reality, images of reality to convince you that Trump's kind of an amazing guy. In other words, they're concerned the photos might help Trump win an election because they don't trust voters to think for themselves, says Andrew Stiles. Those alleged journalists insisted on anonymity, quote, for fear of losing future work. Andrew Stiles continues. This is his writing, not mine. This is not my phrasing. One of these idiots, clandestinely described as a photo editor and photographer from a major news outlet, scolded rival photo editors for overusing the most striking photo of Trump from that day. An objectively awesome scene captured by veteran AP photographer Evan Vucci. The privately worried journalist said it was, quote, dangerous for media outlets to keep sharing the photo, quote, despite how good it is, because it was like, quote, giving free PR to Trump. Their minds are melted by their politics. What is wrong with these people? Andrew Stiles asks. We get it. You think journalism is about so much more than taking great photos and reporting the facts. It's about, quote, safeguarding American democracy, which means stopping Trump from winning elections. Or, if not Trump, then any Republican, because actually they're even worse than Trump. In fact, they're a, quote, much more dangerous virus, end quote, than Trump. In the words of CNN analyst Van Jones. He was talking about J.D. Vance, a much more dangerous virus than Trump. Just make sure the Democrats win, okay? Andrew Stiles mocks them. This mainstream media impulse to ignore or actively withhold information or imagery that could help a Republican or hurt a Democrat is why President Joe Biden, 81, is about to be formally nominated for re-election despite his obvious cognitive deficiencies. He's right. That's how they got this far, by the way. They covered up for Joe for this long. It was all propaganda all the way through. And that's how they got here. Now, in addition to wanting to hide the photo, there are some people who think that this entire event, the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, didn't even happen, that it wasn't real, that it was staged, that it was fake, that everybody involved was an actor, that Trump wasn't shot through the ear. It was too good. He looks too good in this. He must have set it up. In fact, there's an MSNBC host who very much has that theory, or at least is advancing it. I'll share that with you in just a moment. You've got to hear this audio. We're going to get back to the left's conspiracy theories in just a moment, but I do want to share some sad news with you on the loss of two different people over the course of the last hour, the news breaking. First, Bob Newhart, the comedian, has passed away at 94 years old. Bob Newhart of the Bob Newhart Show and Newhart, and the younger audience may remember him from Elf, the Will Ferrell movie. He plays his his foster father in the North Pole. A great actor, great comedian. Bob Newhart has passed away at the age of 94 years old. The Hollywood Reporter on that story. Additionally, President Trump has just truthed the following news. The great Lou Dobbs has just passed away. Lou Dobbs has passed away. President Trump says, friend and truly incredible journalist, reporter, and talent. He understood the world and what was happening better than others. Lou was unique in so many ways and loved our country. Our warmest condolences to his wonderful wife, Debbie, and his family. He will be greatly missed. Lou Dobbs was 78 years old. 78 years old. He had a long career in television. He was, at one time, if you can believe it, CNN's Lou Dobbs Tonight host. He was a host on CNN. He would eventually head over to Fox and Fox Business, doing his show there, also called Lou Dobbs Tonight. It's funny, Lou. I got to do his show a couple times. I met him in Washington once. He would come to Washington occasionally. I might be at Fox News because I was doing something else. We ran into each other in a hallway, and I introduced myself to him, and he was very nice to me. But he's a very intense person. And I don't remember the specific question. I just remember him asking me some sort of political litmus test. He was trying to figure out where I was on the ideological spectrum or something, or what kind of guest I might be. So I answered his question. Anyway, all I remember was it was to his great satisfaction. He liked the answer. And I suspect it was something to do with illegal immigration, the border, getting control of those types of things, because that's what he was interested in. And so after that, I was able to he invited me on his show, and I was able to join him on at least a couple of occasions. And that was a really cool experience. To be on a show with a guy who you were aware of for such a long time, Lou Dobbs. Very cool doing that. One interesting thing, Lou Dobbs, his Fox Business show, it would air at 8 p.m. each night. And Tucker Carlson ended up getting his program at Fox at the very same time on Fox News channel. And when Tucker was trying to come up with names for the show, he consulted me, and I gave him a huge array of names that I thought that the show should be called. And one of the maybe throwaway names was literally Tucker Carlson Tonight. I didn't think it was creative enough. And I don't know. I don't even know why I had contemplated Tucker Carlson Tonight. Perhaps in the recesses of my brain, I had Lou Dobbs Tonight in my head somewhere. So they ended up going with that. They liked that name, and they gave that name to Tucker's show, Tucker Carlson Tonight, which, of course, ended up being a great success. And then they got rid of Tucker. They got rid of Lou, too. They got rid of Lou. They got rid of Tucker. But both of their shows would be live at the same time. You'd have Lou Dobbs Tonight and Tucker Carlson Tonight. I didn't realize that I had contributed in any way to that mess. And word got back to me that Lou wasn't exactly thrilled that the other show on the other Fox network also had Tonight appended to the name. What can you do? But a great American, a guy who cared tremendously about this country, had a great relationship with Donald Trump. And it's fitting, actually, that the news of his death be shared today by President Trump. Lou Dobbs passing away at the age of 78. I've got a lot more for you ahead right here on the Vince Coglianese Show. Hey, good afternoon to you. 4:35 now, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up, the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee in the House, Congressman Mark Green, is here at 5 o'clock. Then Emily Jashinsky joins us for the latest on whether or not Joe Biden is still the president of the United States. That's at 5:30. The left is trying to remove him as we speak. Man, oh man. And you can join us, 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. A real NBC News headline out this hour. Secret Service says it's appalled by DEI rhetoric against female agents after Trump rally shooting. Really? You have time to assess the criticisms of your female agents. Maybe you should spend more time telling us why you allowed Donald Trump to be shot in the head. Maybe start there, and then we could get to the, you're being mean to the female agent storyline. Maybe we could save that one for a little later, It's lower on the list of priorities in a normal world. You're so mean. The fine folks over at MSNBC are having a real one. Did you know that their hosts are, by and large, not actually at the convention, but they're pretending to be? I had no idea. I keep seeing all these clips of people like Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow. They're sitting at a desk. Behind them is the convention. They look like they're in any one of the media boxes. All of the news outlets that we've seen, everybody else is actually there. Fox News is there. You look over the shoulders of their hosts, and you can see their hosts have those little those head mics they wear, right, with the little white foam near their mouths, little microphones. And they've been there all week. They've been, chatting it up, and right behind them, the proceedings continue. And sometimes they'll be like, all right, enough talking. Why don't we look at what's going on the floor? Okay. So MSNBC has been doing something similar, but what I didn't realize until today, they're not actually there. Through the magic of television, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. So Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid, they're not actually present, which is disappointing to me for a number of reasons. But behind them, they've got a huge LED screen that has the floor proceedings as if they're sitting overlooking the floor of the arena. And they're even playing the crowd noise behind them as if the crowd is actually there. Everything about it is a fake. It's totally made up. It's invented. It's literally a camera shot that they just pipe in behind them to convince you that they're there. So they haven't been there. They've been lying. They've been, up by their cushy multi-million-dollar homes in New York. And why would they go to Milwaukee? Ugh. For any reason. They would, for a convention or otherwise. They wouldn't go to Milwaukee. Like, their people don't live there, so why would they be there? So they stayed in New York. And that's too bad, because I was really hoping that one of my reporter colleagues would catch Joy Reid in the hallway and ask her whether or not she wants to account for anything she's done in her miserable career. I was really excited for that. I even suggested it earlier this week. I said, if you see Joy Reid, you can ask her a few choice questions. Turns out she's not even there. She's been faking it. And she's had a tough year, though. I think a lot of people noticed that her haircut was looked a lot like Donald Trump's. And people kept saying it out loud. They're saying, why do you have Trump's haircut? Why do you have Trump's haircut? And she got so upset by people saying that, she cut it all off. Have you seen it? She buzzed all of her hair off because she was tired. I don't have this officially, but my spidey senses are tingling. She definitely did not like the comparisons. She was angry about that because Trump's white and she hates white people. And more importantly, well, maybe less importantly, he's Trump and she hates him. So there is that. So she didn't want to be associated with Trump anymore. She's releasing videos on the internet in addition to her terrible work on television. She figures the world needs more Joy Reid. So she takes these camera videos, these selfie videos she shoots, and then she releases to the internet. And they sound like this. Here she is suggesting that President Trump was never shot by a bullet at all.
We still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet, whether he was hit by glass fragments, whether he was hit by shrapnel. We don't have those details. We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is still a Secret Service protected, presidential candidate. We knew almost nothing.
What do you think happened at that rally, Joy Reid? Corey Comparator was shot dead for trying to protect his family. Do you think that wasn't real? Like, what are you even trying to say? I love that all of a sudden she's demanding detailed physician reports. It was like a week ago that the rest of us were saying, hey, why isn't the White House doctor stepping up to a microphone and answering questions about Biden's health? Now she wants detailed physician reports because she's fearing, as you can tell in the tone of her voice, she's fearing that there's an active conspiracy underway. They're hiding something from us. What could they possibly be hiding? There were bullets that went into human beings at this event. You think they made that up? She does. She thinks it's all invented. And listen to her. She thinks she's being so clever. She thinks she's like couching all of this language in such a way. I'm just asking questions, when she's heavily declaring, and she's practically explicitly declaring that this is all a conspiracy theory, that none of this really happened.
Secret Service protected, presidential candidate. We knew almost nothing. Why? Why don't we know that much?
No, she's coming at this from the exact opposite place that you and I are coming from it, which is, why don't we know exactly what happened that led to a president being shot in the head? We'd like to know the answers to that pronto. Please provide them. But that's not hers. That's not her take. Her take is, this is a cover-up. This whole thing was staged.
Know that 3 people were shot. 1 person, unfortunately, was killed at the rally. We don't know where they were sitting or standing relative to him. We don't know why, for 9 full seconds, Donald Trump was allowed to stand back up during an active shooter situation, even though they, at that point, had said the shooter was down. How would they have known if there were more shooters?
Listen to herself. Listen to her. She's fact-checking herself in real time. She realizes how stupid it sounds coming out of her mouth. The answer to the question, by the way, like Trump standing up, raising his fist into the air and saying, fight, fight, fight to the crowd. When the microphones were open, you heard what the Secret Service said around him. The shooter is down. The shooter is down, they said. And then they began talking about, where do we go? What do we do? What do we do? Okay, move him this way. So President Trump has ears and a brain. He heard them say that. He heard them say the shooter is down. So he probably assessed that some degree of safety had once again been secured, and he stood up and he rallied the crowd, and then he was moved off. But Joy Reid's like, how does this happen? How does this even happen? How is it possible that he would just stand there? She thinks that it's all fake, that everything about this is fake, that he was under no threat whatsoever.
Donald Trump was allowed to stand back up during an active shooter situation, even though they, at that point, had said the shooter was down. How would they have known if there were more shooters or not? Nobody knew that there could have been 5 shooters for all they knew.
Right.
Yet they allowed him to stand up in the middle of that, crisis and pose for a photo and fist pump the air so he could get the iconic photo.
Iconic.
And then they allowed him to stand up again.
We should just use that. Let's just trim that little portion and just say Joy Reid calls Trump photo iconic and just run that headline and see what the left does with it. I think that'd be fun. I think it's true. Everything I just said was true. Joy Reid says it's an iconic photo. This is what they hate. This is what she hates. She's so upset that Trump looked good. She can't believe that it's real.
Photo. And fist pump the air so he could get the iconic photo. And then they allowed him to stand up again outside of the SUV instead of just shoving him into the SUV. That seems really unusual. What is the actual injury?
For what? The other assassination attempts you've watched? What are you talking about? It seems really unusual. Now, first of all, they were trying to force him to do all of these things, but Trump kept breaking it. So Trump's like, wait. He shoves his head out. He pumps his fist in the air. They've got their hands all over him. They're like, come on, let's go. They keep trying to move him. They try and get him into the car, but there's only so much they can do. With Biden, they have to manhandle the guy. Biden can't get his legs into the vehicle. They're lifting him up and they have to throw him like a sack of potatoes in because he can't move on his own. Trump can, but Trump's a big dude. Trump is what, 6'3", 6'4"? They're trying to. Of course, they've assigned 5.5-foot women to help move him, so that doesn't exactly help. In terms of forcing him to do anything. And so, yes, they got him out of there. They wrapped around him. They pushed him along. They got him into that vehicle. But every chance he got, those 2 chances, one, pumps his fist in the air, greets the crowd, goes to the car, stands on the sill, the jamb of the car, once again gives a reaction to the crowd, then ducks into the vehicle. And Joy Reid thinks that this is the basis of a massive conspiracy. This is staged, she is quite obviously implying.
Read to Donald Trump's ear that's under that bandage. Shouldn't we know that by now?
Wait. This is her saying we don't know what the injury is for real.
So he could get the iconic photo. And then they allowed him to stand up again outside of the SUV instead of just shoving him into the SUV. That seems really unusual. What is the actual injury to Donald Trump's ear that's under that bandage?
Oh.
Shouldn't we know that by now?
There are photos of it. Those same photographers that took what she calls the iconic photo of Trump, they took pictures of his ear. You can see the damage to his ear right after it occurs. This is not a mystery. It's not like this. He's hiding that his ear is perfectly fine. There's no damage whatsoever. There was no destruction to the ear. It's a scam.
Weird. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of curiosity about it. In the sort of media world.
The fake laugh is really something, isn't it?
My profession. It's weird, right? Where are the FOIAs? Why isn't the New York Times aggressively pursuing his medical
Your stupid conspiracy theory
records? It's just weird. Just a strange thing that I've noticed. And I don't know if you guys have noticed it too. But it's weird.
She's noticing patterns. She's noticing. By the way, she had tinfoil on her head the whole video because she was trying to stop the government from getting access to her brain. And more power to her. I'm just really proud of her. Joy Reid also, she was on TV last night. You think that's crazy? After the news came out that Biden has COVID. Joy Reid suddenly concluded live on television that that's exactly the same as an assassin shooting you in the head.
Here's the question that I have on that. These 2 men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world.
Listen, by the way, just to be crystal clear, you hear every word she's saying. You know what she's saying. If you want to read the subtext of it, it's a lie. He wasn't actually shot in the head. It's just a stunt. And now he's going to this convention. Everybody thinks he was shot. And that photo was iconic. And it's helping him in the polls. And it's so stupid. She's angry about all of that. And she's saying, one day we'll get the answers on this. Now, notice she doesn't want answers at all on how a presidential candidate did get shot in the head. She's not worried about that part of it. She's not worried about how an entire roof was left open for an assassin to just mount up and set up a picnic area and then shoot when he feels like it at President Trump. Nothing about that. Or why they left that roof unguarded, a clear line of sight, nothing. No, instead it was, how come they let him take an awesome photo? That's what I want the answers to.
an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age.
And the crazy thing is the whole MSNBC desk, they're all nodding along. They're acting like this is a serious talking point. Isn't that exactly the same thing? If you get a little sniffle and another guy gets shot in the head, it's exactly the same. Is that the word she used? Exactly the same thing, she said.
So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same?
It should.
I mean, it's not exactly the same. It's not.
Now she is. Now here she's like, wait a second. Actually, that sounds a little crazy. Maybe I should back off.
Isn't that exactly the same?
It should.
I mean, it's not exactly the same. It's not the same incident, but it's an elderly man coming through out of an illness.
It should.
One guy got shot in the head. The other guy had a difficult bowel movement. Isn't that exactly the same? Isn't that? I mean, they're both old, and they both faced a challenge of some kind. It's exactly the same, isn't it? And then you heard that was Jen Psaki who said it is. She endorses it. She's like, this is what a smart point, Joy. I'm so glad you said that. She's like the Charles Krauthammer of MSNBC. She said the smartest possible thing you could say on the air on that
same incident, but it's an elderly man coming through out of an illness.
It should.
It should. That's right. People should view it that way. You're like, well, how did so many lefties get crazy? Well, have you seen their networks? They think if their guy catches COVID, it's exactly the same as a Republican getting shot in the head. Those are two the same things. It's 4:50 now. They grade Democrats on a curve. That's what it is. All right, let's go to the phones. Mark, Landover Hills, line 4. Mark, good afternoon. So you're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Good afternoon, Vince, my good friend. And you're spot on one more time, Vince. What you have to remember, buddy, about these people is the great generation, our parents, man. There was one thing that they did not like were people who were phonies. And these people are nothing but a bunch of phonies. The way they're turning on Biden, turn on everybody else, try and ask questions, and you give them an answer, and they don't even expand and give you a chance to explain yourself. They are nothing but a bunch of nasty, malnourished jerks is what they are, Vince.
It's disgraceful. You used a good phrase. You mentioned the greatest generation, World War II. Were you watching the convention at all last night, Mark? Did you see any of it?
No, I didn't. I listened and got the highlights of Vince, and I think I know where you're going, buddy. Keep going. There was
a World War II veteran last night, a Sergeant William Peckrell. He's 98 years old, and he addressed the crowd last night, and it was a moving night for a bunch of reasons. The Gold Star families were there, amazing. But to listen to this 98-year-old veteran, World War II guy, stand up there and say that he's ready. If Donald Trump returns to the White House, he said he's ready to re-enlist now to serve this country with President Trump as commander-in-chief.
Take care, buddy.
Thanks, Mark. Motivating. That whole crowd was going wild for this great veteran, and he did such a good job. He really did. They're doing an amazing job, actually, at this convention. Really nicely done. As expected. I predicted it. I said they're going to nail this thing. Sure enough. It's a happening. Chairman Mark Green from the Homeland Security Committee. He's joining us next. We'll talk to him about what he's learning and not learning from the Biden administration about an assassination attempt on Donald Trump.